Hey all, Eskie here, bringing you some more high MMR Deadlock gameplay. This is one of my replays on Pocket, so let's get right into it. So one of the things I think you really want to emphasize when you're laning in Deadlock is you really want to focus on farming and getting last hits. You can also focus on denying as well. It really depends on how hard the person is pushing your lane. We'll actually see in this game, the Warden tends to push me pretty hard. And so a couple of the times what I'll be doing is instead of actually trying to last hit my minions, I will be sitting in front of his minions, waiting for him to actually take it and then denying it just like that. So there's a lot of different ways you can play lane, but no matter what, your number one priority is farm. So another thing to note here for the first skill I like to go as Pocket is I really like the 1. And if we look at the 1 here, I usually go 1 and 2 point in the 1 first because it's a great range harassment tool. You can just see I chunked the Warden pretty hard right there. And on top of that, the cooldown reduction is on 2. 1 is such a big part of Pocket's kit because of the damage amplification. So if we look on here, you know, per stack you hit, you get 8% damage amp. And then if you go up to the 5, you get even more damage amp per stack. So that's really what I focus on in the early game, is getting 2 points in that so that I can constantly spam that in lane. So I hit that one there because I thought the Warden would be there. Obviously he wasn't. Another good point to make here about punching minions. So if you noticed when I was last hitting, if you shoot them with a gun, they'll have a little soul pop out just like that. And when that soul pops out, you have the opportunity to either deny it if it's your opponent's or get it if it's yours. So just like that. So one of the strategies you can use, depending on how threatening the opponent is in your lane, it's actually a lot better for you to melee the minion. And so if given the opportunity, the opponent's not pressuring you in lane a lot, it's actually a lot better for you to melee the minion so that you don't give them that opportunity to deny you the last hit. So we got a pause here. Okay. I was going to skip the pause, but it looks like we'll go right through it. So yeah, I think kind of what you've been seeing me do is focused on my last hits. I definitely missed that one. And I think I'm going to miss this one because of the reload. Oh, maybe not. Okay, cool. Focusing on my last hits, focusing on trying to deny, and then after that is when I really kind of weave in the harassment. And one of the things about Warden, is he has built into his kit spirit resistance with his number 2. And so it's actually a little bit of a tough lane because a lot of Pocket's damage comes from spirit resist, or comes from spirit. And so talking about my early build here, this is pretty much the extent of my early build. I think I end up getting 4 500 items or maybe 5. But I think this is fairly standard if you see a lot of high MMR games when it comes to probably like a... So I tried to go for the Warden there. I missed that 2-3 combo. So finishing the previous thought, so what we have here, we have Mystic Reach, we have Mystic Burst, Extra Regen, and Close Quarters. Close Quarters is great because Pocket has a shotgun, so you really want to be in close quarters when you're doing damage. It gives you a lot of extra damage. Let's see if I can get this kill. I think I do. Spoilers. I did not mean to parry there. So I do end up getting the kill. So one thing to emphasize about what I did there is I don't know the cooldown, but every period of time you get a massive speed boost on the zipline. So one of the strategies is if your lane opponent's harassing you really hard and you know you're low life, you've pushed the wave out, then going back, healing up, and zipline speed boosting through that, you can actually start the zipline speed boost at the beginning, go to your fountain, heal up, and come back. And because you have such a big speed boost like that, it's really hard for the opponent to get away if they're up on their tower like the Warden was. And that allowed me to get the kill there because it was really easy for me to hit my one and then try to combo him. So going back to the build here real quick, I just got Mystic Shot. I think Mystic Shot's a great early buy on Pocket because you really want to focus on generally flat stats in the early game, and that's a great flat spirit damage you get there. You get weapon damage and spirit power from it, so I think it's a really good early damage buy on Pocket. As for the rest of the build, we talked about close quarters, extra regen, especially in a lane like this where the Warden has been very aggressive about pushing my lane, very aggressive about trying to battle and harass. I think extra regen is great. You have bonus health and ammo. And then Mystic Burst and Mystic Reach, I think, are just pretty typical early game buys on spirit-based characters. Because with Mystic Reach, you're getting a lot. Like you can even see it on the modifiers right here. You're getting increased radius on your skills, which makes them easier to hit. And it's also giving you spirit resist. And if you notice, one thing about Pocket is he starts with negative spirit resistance. So you're more susceptible to spirit damage, and having that extra is really nice. And then Mystic Burst gives you some spirit shield and weapon damage along with that ability to deal some extra spirit damage. It's just pretty typical buy right now in the meta.
My mistake.
You can't stop me.
So Paradox came over, ganked my lane like a homie. 7 followed him, it looks like. Am I going to be able to get away from this? So Paradox ended up getting the Warden kill, which is great. And I think I've done enough damage to the 7. I actually ulted him there, which is why you can see it tick down. So the 7 will lay off, and I should be fine right here. Maybe I can hit him with the 1. I should stop spoiling things, right? So that was a great gank from the Paradox. He got the kill there on the Warden. He deserved it. He came over, did a great job. And yeah, I think that as the game develops, you'll see more ganking like that. I think really in the early game right now, you see a lot of people just sticking to their lanes and then trying to push the tower and kill it, which I think is a very viable thing to do. But occasionally you will get ganks from the lanes next to you. So my next buy here was Enchanter's Barrier. I really like Enchanter's Barrier because you already have some Spirit Shield with the Mystic Burst. And it gives you extra spirit power when you have spirit shield health, I should say. And like I said, Pocket has negative spirit resist, so you tend to take a bit more spirit damage, which is why I like that as a buy early on. So Warden has rotated over here to purple lane, so I'm trying to come over here with Paradox to help deal with that. So 7 just ulted there. We got to line of sight that. Make sure we're sitting behind cover when he ults. And nice. Paradox and I both got a kill there. 2 for nothing. And it looks like maybe we can get this tower as well. So, man, I wonder if they have a setting in Spectator to show just my view of the map. So I'm pretty sure we were able to look on the map and see that, hey, so we just killed 2. We've seen at least 2 in yellow lane. We probably see the Dynamo as well. So this is an easy tower push. And towers in the early game are a big deal. Give your team a lot of souls and a lot of map control. So after getting those 2 kills and getting the turret, that's a really big win for the team as a whole. So like I've kind of mentioned in some other videos, the mid game kind of starts when you probably have 1 to 2 turrets die. So if you look on the map right now, you can see we have mid turret still, the 2 mid turrets on the enemy team up, and we've actually been able to kill the 2 side turrets. So what you'll see right now and what's happening is a lot of people will start rotating to the other 2 turrets to try to get those and really exert some really big map control. So that was a big ult. I hit 3 of them with my ult, which is great. And I end up dying there. I don't know if my 3 was up. Maybe I missed it. Here, let's see if we can go back to the fight here. So one of the things maybe you've noticed I'm doing, and one of the things you can do as Pocket, is when you throw out your 2, you can then hit 3. And when you reactivate your 2 to actually teleport to it, that is when the explosion from your 3 will happen. So it's a great way to initiate or get into a fight, because you'll have that AoE damage initially. You'll fire your ultimate off, and that'll be a big burst of damage at the beginning of the fight, especially if you've been able to hit your 1. So my most recent buy has been Majestic Leap, and I think you'll see a lot of high-level Pockets playing this item. And it's a really, really great item on Pocket. It gives you a lot of mobility, but most importantly, it gives you a lot of verticality like this. And I ended up running into a sign there, which was a very bad play on my part. See if we can get some kills here. Looks like my team managed to kill the Dynamo. So we got 4 kills there, and we only lost the Haze, which is really good. So like I said, the verticality that Majestic Leap gives you allows you to much more easily hit your 1 and get into a fight. So you don't have to use your 2 necessarily to get into a fight. You can use it to reposition. You can use it to do some damage or combo it with your 3. And so that's why Majestic Leap, I think, is one of the must-buy items on Pocket right now, because it just allows you to more easily hit your 1, get you around the map quicker, like I'm doing right now. The cooldown's fairly low. I think it's sitting at 25 seconds. Am I right about that? 26 seconds. And, of course, you can bring that down. Let's say, you know, if you buy a cooldown item in the late game, that'll be even less. So it's just a really good item overall for Pocket. So another good point to make right there. So that is Bebop's ult. I don't want to peek around that corner because it's going to damage me. But if you saw them get that tower there, one of the things that happens when you kill a tower for both you and the enemy team is the tower, just like the creeps, they float up souls. So if you're around a tower and you know it's going to die, it's actually worth it for you to stay there to try to deny some of the souls on that turret. So that's what I did there. I didn't want to get hooked or ulted by the Dynamo, but I wanted to make sure I could get some of those souls when they killed the turret. So the big thing I'm thinking right now is my team generally has map control, it seems like, and I really want to farm here. So I've been pretty active on the map so far, and I've been able to build up a pretty substantial amount of souls. And so if you don't know the breakpoints for items in this game, it's 500 souls, 1250, 3000, and 6300. 6300 being the top amount of souls that you could get. And so what I'm trying to do right now is I want to farm up to my first 6300 item, which will be Divine Kevlar. And so that's kind of my attitude right now. We're in the mid game pretty firmly. We actually have already gotten a walker, which is the diamonds right here, which is pretty big because it's, I think, fairly early to get a walker. My team's fighting over here. I'm going to go see if I can help at all. We've already had Haze die, so I don't know if we necessarily want to fight this. And Abrams is pretty deep, so I don't think it's worth it for me to go die there. So once again, just trying to focus on getting 6,300 souls right now. Trying to find some farm. Paradox looked like he was going to go to the lane, so I just went over here. So one of the things you'll see on the map, and the thing that I'm punching right now, if you see my mouse, you see these little boxes on the map. These little boxes are those soul boxes. They actually contain a pretty good amount of souls, but they will do damage to you when you punch them. So it's just something to keep in mind. And then another thing to mention, when you're jungling, you'll accrue unsecured souls. And so what unsecured souls are is basically souls that you have that you can spend, But if you don't spin them and you still have them and you die, you drop them on the ground. And that's that big, huge ball thing that you saw me carrying around. So the bigger the ball, the more souls that person has to drop. So it's just something to keep in mind if you're about to fight. If you have a lot of souls you haven't spent and you have a lot of them unsecured, you could be gifting that to the enemy team. So I got hooked by Bebop. Let's see if I die here.
They can't last forever.
I'll be right back.
My team followed up, which is great. Maybe we can get the Warden. So 7 just ulted there. I want to make sure that I line of sight that. Going for the Vindicta here. Looks like I went in too deep, though. Abrams is getting screwed. Let's see what's happening with Paradox. It looks like they're fighting under the subway here. Good kill there by Paradox. So that was a great follow-up from my team there. So I got hooked by the Bebop, which is obviously something you have to look out for when Bebop's on the enemy team, is he can just come out of nowhere and hook you. Although Pocket's not the best hook, because if you saw me, I'm pretty sure I immediately hit my 2 and my 3 to avoid his damage and let me get out of there. And it actually ended up with a full team wipe for us, which was great.
Good job.
So let's talk a little bit about Divine Kevlar. I think it's one of the best 6300 options on Pocket. So upon casting your ultimate ability, you get a ton of shield plus spirit power. So that synergizes well with our Enchanter's Barrier, because when we're shielded, we get spirit power. I'm going to end up buying the bullet version of that here in the game as well. I don't actually know the name of that. But basically, it's giving you more damage when you're shielded, and then when I go in and I ult, I'm going to get a ton of shield and spirit power. So Lash came in there, tried to get mid-boss from us. We were able to do mid-boss there because we got a full team wipe, and they were pretty hard on the death timers. We're also up pretty significantly in the souls right now. Usually when you see about a 15 to 20k soul lead, especially in the mid-game, that means the other team is fairly weak compared to you, and you should use that to take advantage. So you want to push fights, push objectives, push mid-boss. So yeah, Divine Kevlar, really, really good buy on Pocket. You get cooldown reduction in Spirit Lifesteal too, which is great, something you need. And yeah, so Combat Barrier is the other item. So you get weapon damage while you're shielded. So basically what happens is you're going to Majestic Leap. You're going to try to hit your 1 on the enemy team. You're going to trigger your Majestic Leap again, go in, ult, hopefully 3 or 4. I got hooked again. And I was able to get out. So yeah, that's the 2-3 combo right there. I just fired my 2, I hit my 3, waited for his bomb to try to expire, and then I hit my 2 again, which was able to let me get out. So even though it's basically a misplay for me to get hooked there, it's kind of hard to avoid that the whole game though. Oh man, and I think Paradox just got hooked too. Yeah, Paradox is just dead, there's no way. Bebop ulted there too. Oh, there's the Dynamo ult too. There's a big ult right there. It's going to be hard for me to go out here with the Vindicta right there. Nice. Got the Vindicta. So yeah, one of the reasons I was sitting behind cover right there is I don't have a lot of verticality without my 2 or without my Majestic Leap. So it's hard for me to contest a Vindicta since I'm such a close range character. So I had to wait for the ability to have one of my verticality options there to get to the Vindicta to try to kill her. Speak to the other item I bought here as well, Mystic Vulnerability. I just think this is... Ooh, where to go? This is a really good item on Pocket, Spirit Resist, which is important, and then it helps you just do more spirit damage. At this point in the game, people have probably built some type of spirit resistance. Want to stand behind cover there so I don't get hit. Maybe I should have hit that too there. I had my ult. I think that might have been a misplay there, although we do have 2 dead right now. I think I might have been able to go in there with my 2. So I really threw my 2 out there because you're in, you know, a hallway essentially, and it's easy to hit your 1. I hit my 1. I threw my 2 out there for some damage, but I also could have followed up with it going, and I saw that they were all pretty low. So I think I could have gone in there. I decided not to though. Fairly risky play, especially going into their base with the Guardian up. And then, yeah, let's call out my other item that I bought here. So this is just Improved Burst. So obviously we built Mystic Burst in the early game, and then we're going to build Improved Burst probably mid-game-ish now. And so Improved Burst is probably one of the best mid-game damage items right now for spirit damage characters. You know, you get some weapon damage, some spirit shield, but mainly you want the passive, which is a 10% health bonus damage whenever you do a lot of spirit damage. And that gives you a lot of burst potential as pocket. We can talk about my skill build here as well. So what I've done here is I went up for the 2 on my number 1 just to get the extra cooldown reduction. And then I also went for the 2 on Flying Cloak and the 2 on Enchanter Satchel. I think Pocket's early, his early upgrades on his abilities are really good. You get cooldown reduction plus damage. I think the 80 damage is just super worth it. Also, probably in the mid game after I've gotten these 2, I'll hit my 1 on my ultimate just to get that extra cooldown reduction. And then after I've gotten all of these plus that, I will go for Barrage because I want that extra damage amp in the mid game. So I was farming here, but Paradox was getting jumped, so I was going to see if I could go help him. So I know my team's fighting here. I wanted to make sure I got the lane, though, because I don't want that to run into the walker and do damage. So now I'm trying to come help my team here. Not smart of me to fire my 1 at Lash there. I almost took that kill, to be honest. But yeah, great job by my team. 4-for-1 trade. And unfortunately, we've pretty much pushed everything. We might be able to get a shrine here. So if you look on the map right now, the only 2 things that are left up that are not shrines is the Guardians on the yellow lane. So we're going to push in to get this shrine here. And if you see that green wraparound right there, ooh, I got silenced, or cursed actually. See if I can get the bebop. Yep. I don't think I'm going to live here, though. Yeah. He's just going to ult me. So if you saw that green circle around the shrine, that was resistant because we didn't have a minion wave there, which just means we do less damage to the shrine. So while I think it was probably a good play there to push, did we end up getting the shrine? I don't think we did. We really needed a minion wave there to make it easier on us, so that might have been a bit of a misplay. But there really wasn't any other objective to take on the map, right? Mid-boss wasn't up. We only had 2 Guardians in the yellow lane, and I'm pretty sure we were just straddling blue and purple at that point. So we had won a fight, and usually when you win a fight, you want to go find an objective to take. Mid-boss, towers, Guardians. But we didn't have that opportunity. Switch back to me. So they're doing mid-boss. We're going to come try to steal it here. Want to make sure I hit my 1 first before I go in for the damage amp. Nice. That was a great steal. So they got some kills there and took a bit of a risk, I think, to do mid boss there. We ended up stealing it, which was great. And that's always the risk you take when you do mid boss with too many players on the opposing team up, especially depending on the ultimates that they have. So like Dynamo, for example, right there, his ultimate is great to steal mid boss because you basically just go into mid boss while the rejuvenator is dropping. Dynamo will ult, which will stun all of the enemies around it, and then someone else will come in and punch it. Infernus also has that ability too with his ult to stun everyone and steal. So usually you want to do mid boss when you have a pretty significant numbers advantage. You know, maybe you've gotten 3-4 kills. That's probably a good mid boss time, especially if they don't have any good ults to steal mid boss with. So I silence X the Warden. It didn't look like I was able to get him, though. Bebop hooked me again. Ooh, 7 ulted right on top of me. There's no way I can get out of there. Shiv's coming. Oh, man, we all died. So yeah, based on our death timers, it looks like we all died pretty much at the same time. It looks like Hayes and Infernus had died a little early there. But I was pretty much too deep to get out at that point, so hard for me to really do anything. But we did push in. We got both shrines. I think we did some patron damage as well, it looks like. So I think that was probably a worth trade overall. We just weren't able to end yet. So let's take a look at my build here again. So some of the things I've bought, Silence Glyph. I think Silence Glyph is really good. It has a lot of range. A 30-meter cast range is pretty big. And it has a pretty good duration, too, where you're basically not allowing the enemy hero to operate because they're silenced. It does a pretty good amount of spirit damage, too, and it gives us Spirit Shield health, which really synergizes with Divine Kevlar and Enchanter's Shield. And then I've gotten Spirit Life Seal, which is just really helpful, especially if you hit a big ult, you're life stealing a lot. Heal Bane, so they have some characters that are going to heal, like a Lash, for example, or a Warden. Especially Warden with his ult is going to heal a lot. So I do have healing suppression on my ultimate, but I don't want to just rely on that for healing suppression. I want to make sure I have other healing suppression. So that's kind of where Heal Bane comes in. And then Pristine Emblem, I think is a... Stat-wise, I think it's a pretty overpowered item right now. It just gives you a lot for being a 3,000 item. It gives you the base weapon damage of a 3,000 item, plus 25% extra weapon damage, spirit power, and spirit resist, which are things that Pocket really wants, obviously. And then on top of that, it has a pretty good passive to where your attacks deal bonus damage to enemies above 50% health. So I think this is just a really great buy on Pocket. And then I just upgraded my close quarters to a point blank, you know, extra tankiness, some extra stamina. And then, you know, when you're up close, which you want to be as Pocket, you're going to be doing a lot more damage and movement slowing. Oh no, Paradox got hooked. I decided to go in here. Let's see how that goes. And Dynamo ulted me. Looks like he ulted me in Shiv. We managed to get 1 kill. That sucks. So we've been pretty far ahead in this game, generally speaking. We're still, you know, 11k souls up if you look at the top. But that's kind of the power of Bebop right there. You get 1 good hook, and, you know, the game changes at that point. Should I have gone in there? I don't really know. It was probably a bad call, if I'm honest. Once you get that 1 kill, though, once they got that 1 kill, sorry, it kind of puts you at a disadvantage. I did get a pretty big ult, but I don't know if it was necessarily worth it because we did end up dying. But this Haze and this Infernus just did some work and killed a lot of them, so that was pretty amazing. Can this Infernus get this Bebop? Looks like not.
I need this to work.
So I saw the Infernus chasing the Bebop. I want to go back up my team there. We're definitely in the late game phase at this point, and really in the late game phase, the main thing that you're doing, you want to be around your team. You don't have to be necessarily right on top of them. You know, you can, what I'm doing here, we're kind of like farming around each other, right? If you look at the mini map, we're all similarly in the vicinity. I think Infernus is probably a little too far, but we're all around each other farming, and that's really what you want to be doing in the late game. We've already exerted a ton of map control, and they haven't really been able to take it back from us. So what you're going to end up doing is rotating as a team together, trying to get a pick, waiting for mid-boss to spawn, because really all you want in the late game is either to push their base and win, or get mid-boss and then push their base and win. Or I guess the third thing would probably be get a pick, have an advantageous team fight, and then win the game.
I see Vindicta.
So I think I'm going to speed this up to 2 times now, because there's not going to be a lot of action here for the next good period of time. The game really stalled out. It was basically just here. I think there's a fight here. Or no, Hayes just ended up getting hooked and then we backed off. So yeah, that kind of is the power of Bebop right now. We can't really push into their base because we risk a hook like that. So we really just have to back off if someone gets hooked because we're at such a disadvantage. Ooh, it looks like this shiv's gonna die. Oh no, and I got Dynamo ulted. Yeah, so that's really bad. They did burn a lot of ults there, but that's kind of what happens in the late game. If someone gets picked like that, the enemy team usually will push you pretty hard and try to get more picks, which they have. And I would imagine they're either going to take this walker and do mid-boss or just go do mid-boss. Ooh, Abrams got cursed. Looks like he might die here. And misses Warpstone up. Oh man, he's going to ult. Oh wow, he just chunked that Dynamo so hard. Wow. Abrams has some crazy healing too. Ooh. I think that that was a bit of a misplay running into that 7 ult there, I think. 7's doing so much damage now too.
I see Septum.
Oh man, that was a bad ult by me. Looks like I only hit the lash. Hopefully we'll be able to get that kill.
They won't expect this.
They're in mid. Done.
So it looks like they really squandered their opportunity there. That was some pretty good plays by my team that Abrams really stepped up. So they were pushing our walker there. They had the advantage. They had killed, I think, 3 of us at that point. But it ended up, my team came back, and we're going to be able to turn this into a mid-boss, which is great. Oh, I missed my punch there. That's not... We all missed our punch there. That would have been really bad if they were above us. And yeah, let's look at a few other items that I've bought here now. So I've just bought spirit armor and bullet armor. I just want to be tankier. You know, as you go into the late game and people have kind of filled out their build at that point, especially people like Vindicta and 7, they're going to be dealing a ton of damage. And Pocket being a close quarters character, you're going to have to build tanky because you're going to get lit up if you don't. So you have to be really careful and use a lot of your slots, in my opinion, on items that are going to give you some type of tankiness. So I think we end up farming here They just get some picks, and then we end up farming. So I'm going to speed this up. So yeah, they get those 2 picks. We do have Rejuvenator, so they'll be back soon, but it's just really hard to push into this team, mainly because of Bebop and Dynamo. So obviously Bebop with the hook, and you know, I probably sound like a broken record at this point, but what ends up happening is they rotate as a team. Bebop hooks someone, and that person dies, and then they're immediately at an advantage over us. Or what ends up happening is we group up, Dynamo finds a really good ult, and we all die. So it's just really hard for our team comp to push into their team comp, especially into the base, because the base is such a choke point area where you just have, you know, those 4 lanes, 4 pretty narrow spaces that you're going to go into. Really easy for Bebop to hit a hook, really easy for Dynamo to hit a pretty big ultimate. Oop. Needed to slow that one down. My bad. Ooh, I did not hit anyone with that ult. That was really bad. So we did manage to get into the base and kill 1. We are still at a disadvantage, though. And now 3 of us are dead, so we pretty much have to back off here. So I'll speed it up again. This kind of... It goes on for a while like this in the game. I'm not going to spoil it, but... Basically, it's us trying to push into their base and not being successful. Someone gets hooked, we're at a disadvantage, and then it just makes it even harder. So yeah, just farming the map here, waiting for people to respawn, trying not to get picked, which is the big point. We do see 7 here, but we're not able to end up getting. We're not able to get the kill. So that's really what you're looking for, right? Like the ideal scenario for us would be picks. Because once we get a pick, it'll be way easier for us to push into the base.
If you need me, I'll be hiding in this thing.
Okay, I think a fight's coming up here. Dodge that hook.
Time to be clever.
I'm just using my 2 to get a little harassment there. There's no way I would port it in there. That'd be suicide. So yeah, let me slow it down here and talk about item build real quick. So I'm pretty much running out of slots. I just got improved reach. I think improved reach is not necessarily the best, but pretty late into the game, I think it ends up being pretty good because you want to hit those big ultimates. And so I did put improved reach on my Q, or my ultimate, sorry. Q is the keybind I have for it. So that I can make sure to hit more people with my ultimate. And then the only other 2 upgrades I've made since then were I just got improved bullet armor and improved spirit armor just for some more tankiness because, like I said, Pocket's a close quarters character. You're going to be taking damage, so you want to build decently tanky on him.
You can't stop me.
So we know Lash is there. Maybe we can get a pick here. Looks like maybe not. So yeah, this is pretty much what the late game is, especially against this team, is just trying to find a pick, trying to find a way into the base. And then when mid-boss comes up, and what we're going to do is we're going to force mid-boss because it's going to force them out of the base. Hopefully force them out of the base. A good thing to emphasize here about mid-boss is you can't do damage to mid-boss outside of the pit. So that's the reason I'm not shooting mid-boss there. I wanted to stay outside of the pit just in case Dynamo came in and ulted. I didn't want to get caught up in that, and my team had enough damage to do mid-boss themselves. We actually made the call. You can't hear the voice comms, unfortunately, on replays. But we made the call to only take mid-boss to half so that mid-boss makes that noise. Hopefully that baits them out into a fight, and we can get a pick that way. So I'm just trying to fix the wave here. Sorry, and by fix the wave, I mean I want the wave to be pushing into them, not pushing into us. Making sure I'm staying near my team because a fight is going to happen here sometime soon. I think that's a bug because he definitely did not capture the Rejuvenator. Interesting. So they're doing mid boss right now. It's not dead. I don't know why that sound played. That's really weird. Early development, by the way. Deadlock is very, very fun. It is in early development, though. I hit 2 with my ultimate there. That's good. Looks like we got the Rejuvenator. And we ended up wiping them out, too. Great. 7 is just crazy fast in the late game, depending on what build he goes. So he actually has a revive here, I think. Yeah, so we actually didn't kill him. He got revived. But we can just win at this point because the rest of them are dead. So GG's all around. This was a bit of a longer game, but I think it really showcases some pretty good pocket gameplay. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.